Welcome to the Anti-Aging Podcast, where age is a state of mind and aging is a treatable condition. And now, here is your host, Dr. Teri Fisher.
Well, hello and welcome to the Anti-Aging Podcast. I am absolutely thrilled to be able to bring this podcast to you. My name is Teri Fisher. I am a physician, aesthetic medicine, sports medicine physician here in Vancouver. And this officially is the launch of the Anti-Aging Podcast. The purpose of today's show is really to give you a little bit of an idea of what the podcast is all about, how it's going to work, what you can expect from the podcast as we go forward, and a little bit of an introduction to me so that you have a sense of who is the host. And it certainly won't be only me on this podcast. I'm going to be having lots of guests, and we'll explain that in just a few moments here. So first of all, I want to give a big thank you to you, the listener, for tuning in and checking out this podcast. I hope that you find it very valuable. We're going to be covering a whole wide range of topics that all have to do in some way or another with anti-aging. Again, my name is Teri Fisher. I am from Vancouver, and I currently practice at the Anti-Aging Medical and Laser Clinic in Vancouver, specifically in the Kitsilano neighborhood. I am relatively new to this clinic, and boy, I'm so fortunate to be working with such an incredible group of people that are devoted to anti-aging medicine and services and treatments, and not to mention the skill that they have. They're all extremely skilled, and boy, I feel very fortunate to be part of this team. Now, a little bit more about me. As I mentioned, I was born and raised here in Vancouver. I attended school here in Vancouver, and school is always very important to my family. So I did stay in school for a long time, even after high school. I did my undergraduate degree at McGill University in Montreal in anatomy and cell biology and biotechnology. Then I came back to Vancouver, where I did a Bachelor of Education degree in high school sciences. And that's actually one of the things that I love doing even to this day, and that is teaching. And to this day, I do help with teaching some medical students and residents in various courses. Subsequent to that, I then did a Master of Science in Experimental Medicine. And then I did my medical doctor degree here at UBC. I graduated, and then I went to Edmonton, where I did my family medicine residency. I did a sports medicine fellowship. And more recently, I have been studying aesthetic medicine, and hence I have recently joined the clinic at Anti-Aging. Now, one kind of interesting story, a fun connection to the Anti-Aging Clinic, is that the medical director of the Anti-Aging Clinic, the founder of it, is Dr. Gideon Frame. And as it turns out, 20 years ago, when I was a first-year medical student, Dr. Frame was one of my very first preceptors when I went to a family practice office. And it was around that time that Dr. Frame was setting up the Anti-Aging Clinic. And here we are, and I'm joining the clinic, and it's just a really, really wonderful connection. And I still remember back as a medical student learning from Dr. Frame. I can't say enough great things about him, and now I get to work with him at the Anti-Aging Clinic. So it's a lot of fun. And if you get to see us at the clinic, then definitely say hi to us, and we can relate to you some of the stories from back then. Now, let's talk about the purpose of this podcast, because that's what this is really all about. And what I really want to focus on is helping you to understand what anti-aging is, what aesthetic medicine is, what cosmetic medicine is, whatever you want to call it. And there is so much that truly goes into that. So this is actually quite a vast topic. But what I want to do is share with you some of the topics that we will be discussing here on the podcast in the upcoming episodes. First of all, as a physician, I believe in what's known as evidence-based care, evidence-based practice. And what that means is that the things that I recommend to patients, the things that I discuss, are rooted in research as much as possible, whenever it is possible. And when it's not possible, when we don't have the definitive research to guide a practice one way or the other, then I'm sure to let you know that and give you that guidance with whatever it is that we're speaking about at that time. Having said that, we will on this podcast be talking about the latest news, treatments, technologies, research in the field of non-surgical cosmetic and anti-aging medicine. Now, along those lines, just to define non-surgical cosmetic and anti-aging medicine, what that means is we're talking about any treatments that can be done in an office that do not require going under the knife. So we're not talking about surgery. We're not talking about facelifts. We're talking about treatments that can be done in the clinic. For example, injections, facials, lasers, and that sort of thing. In this podcast, we're going to cover many, many different types of treatments. I'll just list a couple here for you, and it goes well beyond this list. But we will definitely talk about neuromodulators, which includes things like Botox, Dysport, Xeomin. Those are different brand names. We'll talk about the different types of dermal fillers. We'll talk about platelet-rich plasma or PRP treatments. We will talk about facial treatments, chemical peels, laser hair removal, body wellness and contouring, skin rejuvenation, laser tattoo removal, fat reduction. We're going to cover a lot. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. As well, it's not only going to be me. And one of the things that I'm most excited about for this podcast is the opportunity to bring to you experts in this field. We are going to be having regular interviews with people that are leaders in the field. This will include everything from physicians to technicians to nurses, and we'll even get to experience the anti-aging practice through the eyes of the patients by interviewing patients, of course, with their consent. And if you are a patient of the anti-aging medicine clinic, then please feel free to reach out to us if you are interested in sharing your story on this podcast, because I think it would be wonderful for others to hear your experience as a patient. Now, what about from a logistical standpoint? How long are the episodes? How often can you expect to have an episode come out? And so on. Well, let me tell you a little bit about things from that perspective. First of all, I want to say, probably most importantly, is that I am extremely appreciative of you taking the time, some of your precious time, to listen to the podcast. I know how valuable that is to you. And again, I thank you for that. Because of that, I want to respect your time. And my intention is not to have podcasts that go on and on and on and on. In fact, my intention is to have podcasts that are short, concise, packed with great knowledge that you can use. And then we say goodbye until the next episode. And for that reason, my intention is to have podcast episodes that are approximately 10 to 15 minutes in length. Now, of course, depending on the episode, there may be some variability in that. There might be some episodes that are a little bit shorter. There might be some episodes that are a little bit longer. That may depend on the guest that we have on or the topic of that particular episode. But nevertheless, the goal is to have podcast episodes of around 10 to 15 minutes, and that's what you can expect. Now, what about the frequency of the episodes? Well, in this case, what we're going to be aiming for is a weekly show. That seems to be a sweet spot as far as podcast listening goes, and I think it would work really well for the type of information that we have here. Now, having said that, as a special surprise with the launch of the podcast, we actually are publishing 3 episodes at the same time for the launch. So this is the exception, but right now you can actually listen to this one and you can go ahead and listen to the next 2 episodes with some incredible guests. So coming up in the next episode, we have a very special guest. We have the medical director of the Anti-Aging Medical and Laser Clinic in Vancouver. We have Dr. Gideon Frame, and I am really excited to interview him because we are going to tackle the concept of anti-aging. What is anti-aging? What sort of connotations go along with the concept anti-aging? We're going to cover it all. And as I mentioned, as a special launch event for this podcast, that episode is actually live right now. So you can go ahead and keep listening to the next episode and you will hear this very special interview. I want to thank you once again for tuning into this podcast. This is very special. This is the launch of something brand new, and I look forward to taking this journey with you together. Remember that age is a state of mind, and aging is a treatable condition. There are so many things that we can do to help us to age gracefully and with as much life and vigor and enthusiasm and excitement and energy as we gradually get older. If you have enjoyed this podcast, then please feel free to share this podcast with others that may benefit from this. The biggest compliment that you can give me and the rest of the team here at Anti-Aging is to simply share the podcast. It means the world to us, and it helps other people find this content that hopefully will have a positive impact on their lives. As well, if you have enjoyed the podcast and you feel inclined to leave us a review, it would be extremely appreciated. Any review on your favorite podcast player, whether that is Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other player, is very much appreciated. It does help us to get the word out about the podcast and all the things that we can do with regards to anti-aging. Also, If you are interested in checking out more about myself, feel free to check out my website at drterifisher.com, DrTerifisher. And of course, feel free to check out all the resources. Feel free to book an appointment with any one of the anti-aging healthcare team members at antiagingvancouver.com. I look forward to speaking with you very soon in that next episode. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Anti-Aging Podcast. Stay tuned to discover more of the latest news, treatments, technologies, and developments in non-surgical cosmetic and anti-aging medicine. For more inspiration, to access the show notes, or to book an appointment with Dr. Fisher, Dr. Frame, or any of the other anti-aging professionals, please visit our website at antiagingvancouver.com. Until next time, stay inspired and live life well.